What's up, friends? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another What I Eat in a Day. But this time it's going to focus on my go-to meals. At least some of my go-to meals, because I have a lot of go-to meals. So I just got back from work for my first job. I took a shower, got ready for my second job. Yes, I know, despite the fact that I'm dressed like this, I am ready to get to work remotely. It's all internal meetings today. They're only gonna see me from the neck up. Whatever, it doesn't matter. You know what the vibes are when you're working from home. But anyway, if you are new here, my name is Sarah. Nice to meet you, welcome. Come on in. And like I said, we're gonna do a What I Eat in a Day. Are these videos still relevant? Do people still post them? Do people still watch them? I have no idea. They do kind of well on my channel. I thought I would mix it up a little bit and do some of my go-to favorite breakfast, lunch, and dinner meals. So we're gonna get started with breakfast. But actually before we do that, I had to run to Whole Foods really quickly after my first job this morning because there were certain things that I couldn't find at Trader Joe's. And I immediately came home, hopped in the shower, and forgot that I did not unpack the bag. So let's start off with a little Whole Foods haul. Why not? Aluminum foil and parchment. Nothing crazy to see here. I try not to use things like this too often just for waste reasons, but when it comes to baking, which is something I do a lot of, you just really need some parchment paper, silicone mats. Don't always cut it, and aluminum foil. Again, there's just certain things you need it for. I buy one pack a year and that lasts me. Cornstarch because I'm out. Oh, and I had to get coffee creamer. Normally I get either Planet Oat or Silk or something like that, but again, I never know how this is pronounced. Califia Farms. This is their almond milk creamer. It's cookie butter flavored. Very curious to try this. I did already have coffee today. I stopped at Dunkin' before work. It was mediocre as always, as Dunkin' is, so I might need to have a little more coffee later today so we can taste test this because I'm very excited. It was also on sale. Normally this brand is pretty expensive, I think, but it was $4.50. I don't know. Compared to most New York grocery store creamer prices, that seemed pretty good. And then we got chili powder because Trader Joe's, their whole spices aisle section collection, they have some really good ones, and obviously they have the Trader Joe's branded spice blends, but there's certain basic ones they just don't have, chili powder being one of them. Last but not least, I got some halloumi, and this is a little teaser for what's to come for dinner because we will be using some halloumi, and my god, am I excited for this. If you haven't had halloumi before but you're a cheese lover, first of all, you're missing out. Second of all, you need to watch to the end so you can see what we do with this bad boy because it will make you into a halloumi believer. And then of course, the empty bag that will live on the floor for the next week while my cats sit inside of it, on top of it, push it around, make too much noise inside of it, and wake me up in the middle of the night. Also, speaking of cats, I normally give them treats when I come home. It is their What I Eat in a Day just as much as it is mine. Oh, they're already running. Come here. You want nummies? Isn't this so cute? I got this from Michael's during Halloween a handful of years ago. I just put the cat treats in it. Oh, scoping out the bag. Hi, you want nummies? Some for you. Some for you. Okay, so now that that is out of the way, I guess we can get started with breakfast because I'm starving. Okay, so for my first go-to meal of the day, it's gonna be breakfast, and to probably no one's surprise, it's gonna be avocado toast. And I just realized y'all are sitting on top of the sourdough, so we're gonna, excuse me, you're gonna need to get out of the way. Thank you. And now you're not so gracefully sitting on top of my Dutch oven, so please don't fall over because that would make me sad. But we have sourdough. I made this over the weekend, I believe. Also a rogue croissant because there was room for it. So I'm already about halfway through. Now, please don't make fun of my sourdough. She did not proof or rise very high in the oven. And if you watched my 2024 plan with me, I feel so weird that you can't see me. I'm sorry. Also, I need a cutting board. If you watched my 2024 plan with me, you know that one of my goals for 2024 is to perfect or just improve my sourdough technique. And that I've been using the same sourdough technique since I started about, has it been a year? I feel when did I start? Probably February, so almost a year since I started making sourdough. And I am pleased to inform you that this is a different recipe from what I usually follow, and I actually like the technique a lot more because it's less labor intensive and the timing of it, it still takes 2 days or 3 days depending on when you feed the starter. I don't know, but obviously it didn't result in anything great. It still tastes good, so that's all that matters. Simply is just not an even cut, but that's fine. Whatever. It will work. And for our toppings, avocado, feta, everything bagel seasoning. If I'm feeling really fancy, sometimes I'll throw on some pickled red onion. But honestly, I like to keep it basic. And if I'm feeling like really, really fancy, maybe a fried egg. But you know, I have love-hate relationship with eggs. This is the classic, this is the go-to. I have this like every other day as long as I have sourdough. A little sourdough ASMR for you. But also while there's sirens in the background, because welcome to Brooklyn. Eating at the desk because I do unfortunately have to start working. But we have our avocado toast. She is lovely, she is beautiful, she is perfect. One might argue that she has too much feta on top of her, but I could not disagree more. Perfect amount. It's also the fat-free Trader Joe's feta. Like, what harm is it doing? It is truly just so good. I don't care how basic it is. I'm weird about breakfast. I have like 2 or 3 that I like. 10 out of 10 in my book. Well, I'm going to continue to devour this, check emails, and I will check back in either when I make my lunch or have some more coffee, maybe? Yeah, we'll see. Hello, welcome to lunch. Well, actually, it's gonna be like fake lunch because I forgot I have, normally on Wednesdays, my meetings are arranged a little bit differently and I eat lunch later in the day, blah, 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 etc., etc. Today's a little different. I have my lunch break right now. It's only 1 o'clock. I had breakfast at 11 and your girl ain't that hungry yet. But this is the only time I have to prep my lunch and show it to you. So I'm gonna go ahead and make it and put it together and then maybe just like put it back in the fridge for a little bit and then eat it like during a later meeting where it's a chill meeting where it's acceptable to do that, obviously. So what are we making, you might be asking? We are making I actually don't have a name for it, I guess. I guess it's kind of like a gyro bowl. If I'm butchering that name, I'm sorry. I know that there's like 30,000 different ways to pronounce that word, and that's how I've been pronouncing it. So if that is not correct, please let me know. I've been doing this for a while. It's no particular recipe. It's just something I started throwing together a long time ago, and it makes for both a really good lunch or a really good dinner, or both and leftovers. So I'm actually having leftovers. I made this for dinner like late last week. Evan really enjoys this dish as well. And it's so easy just to throw together and have as leftovers. So let me show you what I do to make this. Okay, so the first thing that I do for this recipe is to make the farro. That's the grain that I like to use. Obviously, you could do couscous, you could do rice, you could do this over greens. Any combination of grains or carbs that you would like. You could do it without it. Obviously, you could use it in a wrap, eat it like a sandwich, as is intended most of the time. I like to use farro. Farro is by far my favorite grain. I didn't have any leftover from when I made this for dinner last week. I ran out of farro, so I just have the quick like 10-minute cook farro from Trader Joe's. So I just put 1 serving of that in some water on the stove. That will take a little bit of time to cook. I'm doing this as leftovers, so I already have some like beef meatballs prepped. But if you were making this for the first time, you would of course want the meat part of the gyro. And this of course is flexible too. I always make meatballs. I'm vegetarian, so I'll use either Impossible or Beyond. I normally buy the like ground packs and make my own. I know Beyond has their own like packaged meatballs. I think they taste kind of funny. I don't know. So I prefer to season my own. Nothing fancy. I mean, you can follow any generic meatball recipe for the most part. I kind of just wing it, add spices that speak to me, that make sense for this recipe. And then I cook those in the oven at like 400 for I think like 20 minutes or so. But you could also use probably chicken or pork, plant-based alternatives with that. Whatever floats your boat here. It's a flexible recipe. It's barely even a recipe. It's just throwing a bunch of ingredients together, honestly. So we have our grain, we have our meat, veggie meat, protein, and then the toppings I do a sliced cucumber, sliced red onion, feta. I know, I just used a bunch of feta on my avocado toast. I'm sorry, we're doing it again. It fits the recipe. And tzatziki. Oh, and tomatoes. I fully forgot that there's tomatoes. At least that's what I like to do. actually, before I go into this meeting, I do want to try that new coffee creamer. Do I need more coffee? Probably not. Am I finishing work a whole hour earlier? Yes. Do I need to stay up late? No, but I can feel it. I can feel it in my body that I need some caffeine and that I need to try this creamer right now. So we're gonna do it. Like I said, not gonna eat lunch yet. I made it. She looks beautiful. She's very tempting, but trying to be mindful of my hunger cues. And right now, there is no cue. She is not existent, but it was not made for nothing. I probably will eat it in the middle of this 2-hour-long meeting eventually. But I know it is winter, but I'm still drinking out of my Dogfish Head pumpkin ale mug that initially had a candle in it. They put out a new one every single year. I think I've talked about it before. Whatever, it's adorable. I like drinking my coffee out of it. Trader Joe's cold brew. The guest of honor. Oh God, I wish, please, be a part of this. Oh my God, so good. I haven't had cookie butter in a long time. Bitch, that is good. Absolutely delicious. Very excited to try that with hot coffee as well, but it passes the cold brew test 100%. All right, my friends, and for dinner tonight, we are having butter halloumi. You can't see me, but I am giving quotation marks around butter halloumi because it is in fact a Pinterest recipe. And if we know anything about Pinterest recipes, it's that they are not true or real or authentic most of the time. So take that with a grain of salt. All that being said, the outcome is quite good. This is definitely a treat yourself meal, as is anytime you use halloumi, just because it is quite high in fat. But so after prepping the rice, I like to pat my halloumi dry and kind of press it as if it were tofu, just because there's a lot of extra moisture in there that does not need to be transferred to the pan, where it will just spitter spatter all over me when it gets into the oil. There's not many veggies that go into this recipe, but I do cut up some onion and garlic before chopping up the halloumi into more bite-sized pieces. And then in an unfortunate turn of events, my rice cooker decided to stop working, so I transferred the rice to the stove where it took an obscenely long time to cook instead. So after sauteing the onion and garlic with some spices, we add in some crushed tomatoes, we add in some ginger, we eventually add in some milk, and voila, you got your sauce. You let it simmer for definitely longer than what the recipe says because it needs that time for the flavor to develop. On to the fun part, of course, is cooking the halloumi. Again, if you have not had halloumi before, if you have not cooked halloumi before, it is an experience. It is a cheese that you can cook. It gets ooey, it gets gooey, it gets rubbery and squeaky, but like in a good way. If you know, you know. Just trust me. And just like that, we have one of my favorite dishes. Is it the healthiest? No. But is it delectable? Absolutely. Could eat this all the time. This is just one of many recipes I like to use halloumi for, but go to and is absolutely worth it.